Good morning and a happy Monday morning, you guys. All right, we're going to be covering the tour. This is video 1, part 1, and this covers day 1. Let's go. To start with, we found out that Meghan was at Heathrow waiting for Harry. We had been told that she was going to fly over on her own. Mainstream media reported that, but apparently she went and sat in the Windsor suite, in the royal suite, waiting for Harry to show up at the airport so that they could fly together. It's being reported they flew first class. There was a curtain between them and everybody else so they could have complete privacy on their flight. And then they were taken off first before anybody else, for safety. And there they go. They land in Nigeria. Now, before they arrived, the UK High Commissioner spoke out and said that Harry and Meghan are there in a private capacity only, not an official one. So the British High Commission has nothing to do with arranging or facilitating their program. And Harry and Meghan don't represent the king. That's what was said. I believe that the UK wanted to make this absolutely clear after Harry made those comments, when he was in Canada, that he was going to look at the UK's commitment to the Indigenous people. He had absolutely no right to say that. When they arrived, the Nigerian newspaper called The Whistler came out and said, yep, Harry and Meghan have arrived at the defense headquarters ahead of meeting with injured soldiers. Remember, this was on their itinerary that they released because they're so worried about their safety. So I thought they weren't there to represent the UK. I want you to watch what happened. Look at this guy directing Harry. You're going to walk up this red carpet. You're going to get up there. Harry's literally looking at him going, what's next? What's going to happen? What am I doing? What is this? Well, they had Harry inspect the troops, just like you do on royal tours. Isn't that interesting? Now, I'm not trying to be snide or smart when I say this, but for somebody who's always talking about his brother's hairline, you see pictures like this where they're not photoshopped because Meeson Harriman didn't take them or put them out. That man is losing his hair at an alarming rate, but yet wants to make fun of his brother. Yeah. All right. Moving on, he came down from the stage and they went around and, they're meeting people. And of course, Meghan is way in front of Harry. She's not waiting for Harry. She's just going to go ahead and introduce herself to everybody. As you can see here Harry's meeting somebody. She's already on the right. So, I'm sorry. So eventually they start walking them somewhere. And as you can clearly see, Meghan is grasping onto Harry with her two-handed grip. I'm not sure what was going on. Look down. 2 hands. Hang on to me, Harry. I don't know what these people are going to do to us. So after that, they go into the defense headquarters, and thank you to the person on Twitter. I wish I'd gotten their name who did this. Meghan's mask is massively slipping here, probably because she's not the center of attention, and she probably thinks she should be. And of course, they had them sign the guest book, and she had to do that freaking loopy handwriting thing. Harry's looking at her like, how long does it take to sign your name? And you should know that she wrote something, thank you for your support and thanks for welcoming me home. I'm telling you what, somebody needs to do an independent DNA test. Could you imagine if it turns out this whole thing was a lie? Now, somewhere in the middle of all of this, they went to visit army wives and Harry went to visit, wounded soldiers, and a few pictures were taken. And I'm not going to go into all of that, but I got to be honest, guys, I'm just really not impressed. All right, couldn't help but notice that she is dressed in this particular outfit, which reminded me of somebody else. Yeah, Catherine Wannabe. And why isn't she in color? Remember, she was forced to wear white and beige in these horrible colors in the family. So suddenly she's out of the family, but is still wearing the same beigey colors. So their next stop is at the British International School, the Elite School in Abuja. So instead of seeing a regular school and what's representative of what they have there, they go to a fancy schmancy school that's only for the elite that are located there in Nigeria. So we are notified by the drip feed media that they are going to start releasing tour pictures. And the first thing that I noticed in looking at Meghan is this is a predominantly Muslim country, and she's got a shirt on with bare arms. Is this really appropriate clothing to wear to meet school children? Their religion favors modesty, and look how she's dressed. Okay, so right off the bat, something happens, because if you noticed, here her hair is up, and 2 seconds later, her hair is down. I think it fell. Okay, whatever. Look in the corner there. There's James Holt, the man who's running Archwell, and they walk up to start meeting these people outside of the school. Let me show you what happened. Okay, behavior. I personally think that this woman was extremely unimpressed. All right. So let's move on. They're standing there and they're looking pensively at this dance, and yeah, isn't this nice? And there again, people said this wasn't him. That's Meeson in the back in the black shirt. And he's taking the black and whites. Of course, we know they're going to be photoshopped. They're going to be fabulous photos. No wrinkles. Harry's going to have hair placed on his head. We know how this all goes. I also warned you this was going to be a fashion event for Meghan. She's going to have multiple outfit changes. I mean, look at this dress she's wearing. It's way too long. It's dragging all over the ground. Sorry. And what's with her hair? I don't get it. I mean, I just don't get it. What's with the sexy walk as you're going into... This is a school full of children. I don't get this. Okay, so they walk into the school and they get up on the stage, and first... Harry gives a speech to the children. It's the typical word salad stuff. Here you go. I'm going to let you hear what he said. Of course, I can't play the whole thing, but here you go.
To be able to acknowledge that today is a bad day. Okay? That you woke up this morning feeling sad. That you left school feeling stressed. That you lost a loved one in your family and you don't know who to turn to or who to speak to. All of these things, you may...
Meghan is looking at him longingly as he's talking, and then of course it was her turn, and she had her own mic, so they didn't have to fight over it. And the first thing she does is gush about, he's so smart. Meghan gave the same word salad, but she talked about her kids. Here's what she said, and I'm quoting. She was talking about potential. She says, your teachers see that in you, and we see that in you. Interestingly, so does our daughter Lily. She's much tinier than you guys, about to turn 3. And a few weeks ago, she looked at me and saw her reflection in my eyes and said, Mama, I see me in you. Now, she was talking literally, but I held on to those words in a different way. I thought, yes, I do see me in you, and you see me in you. But as I look around this room, I see myself in all of you as well. She continued on, this is my first visit to Nigeria. I'm happy to be here with all of you. I believe in all of you. We believe in your future. We believe in your ability to continue to tell your stories. And to be honest with each other, there's no need to suffer in silence. Just make sure that you're taking care of yourselves, and that begins with your mental health. And talk about whatever's coming up for you. So thank you to all of you, and thank you to the team, to our executive director of the Archwell Foundation, whose birthday it is today. Right. Now, when they were done, they got off the stage, they sat down, the kids danced, there was some sort of a show for them, and they clapped along and act like they just were loving every minute of it. And that was about the time Meghan raised up her hand, and wouldn't you know, she went to one of the poorest countries, and she made sure to wear her 2-carat pinky ring diamond, because yeah, there's nothing wrong with showing off your wealth to some of the poorest people in the world. Ugh, selfies, she's in her element. So then they go to this classroom. Harry's trying to show her something, and look at this. She's looking right at the camera. I mean, typical Meghan Markle. At some point, they manage to get up and they start dancing with the kids, and they're doing, I don't know what dance they're doing, where they're dancing around and they're going in circles. Meghan cannot leave Harry alone for a second. Look at this. I'm telling you guys, So let's look really quickly now at what Meghan was wearing. This was her second outfit change for the day, and she was wearing a $575 Heidi Merrick maxi dress. It was extremely revealing. It was way too long, and the color was from 2018, so you can't get it anymore. It's an outdated outfit. Now, as it was pointed out by Laird of the Manor, once again, she overused the spray tan. This was the color of her back, and this was the color of her face. Oh my God, she needs to lay off the spray tan. Now, a lot of people are not appreciating this fake royal tour, and they're pointing out that maybe Harry and Meghan should address the scandal of the African parks and the Baka with all of the killings and tortures and beatings going on. Because of course, Harry hasn't said one word about what's going on there. Now, Meghan is always talking about the rights of women and girls. Do you think she's going to speak out while she's there about the mass abduction of girls by Boko Haram and other Islamic militants? I don't think so. I don't think we're going to hear a word from her about it. Do you all think Harry or Meghan will speak out about how many Nigerians live in absolute abject poverty? Because I don't think they're going to do that either. Now, you should know that it came out that one of the People magazine writers is the one that's going with them on this tour, which is why we've had gems like this, all the best photos. Or how about this one? Meghan Markle matched Nigeria's flag in major style moment. This is what they're giving us. All right, now let's look at what happened when they went to leave the school. Harry and Meghan go walking out, and there are children lined up on the side for them to wave to on their way out the door. Of course, they're being flanked by security. Yeah, bye. There's security right there. Here comes Meeson Harriman from the back in his black outfit. But here's what you might not have noticed the first time around as they're leaving. First of all, this girl here, you can see her in the brown shirt, is asking the kids to smile and wave. And as you can also see, they did not really oblige. I think they were totally over them. Second of all, as they're walking out, I couldn't help but notice that Meghan Markle kept looking over her shoulder, as did Harry. That was because Meeson Harriman is there taking their photos. They needed to make sure they got a good photo. Now, something else that I noticed as they were going out were these kids on the right. They don't look very happy. Now, these girls, see how they're looking at Meghan? But Meghan is too busy looking at the camera to notice them. The kind of looks that they're giving her are along the lines of, yo, B. You know what the B word stands for. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, move on. I don't think they were impressed with her at all at the school show. I got to be honest. I just don't. Now, a couple of other things I want to point out really quickly to round up this visit. Number one, if this is for Invictus, why is this picture from the Time magazine of Harry and Meghan on the welcome sign? Why doesn't it say anything about Invictus? It doesn't. Then, not long after that, this article came out. And this article is about how they're expanding an existing partnership. Remember the period products that she sent? Well, she didn't send. Somebody donated, and then she took full, credit for it. And such a small amount was sent. It was like probably gone in a week. Well, now they're expanding to include mental health. Now, their local news is putting out that Harry and Meghan are there on a humanitarian mission to uplift the spirits of the wounded soldiers. But that some people in Britain have decided to cast Meghan in a negative light. That's right, you guys. They've got Nigeria now fighting her battles for good press. How dare anybody say anything negative about Meghan? Now, it's later on in the day. I believe Meghan went back to the hotel to relax. And this person who's walking back and forth is the governor, Sani Uba, and other government officials, and they're waiting for Harry. Harry's taking forever. So finally, security, and they come around the corner, and here comes Harry. Now, here's a few things that I would like to point out to you. First of all, Meeson Harriman, there's Meeson, right behind him with the camera. He's going to make sure to get lots of pictures because this is so important. So they turn around. I want you to notice that there's nobody on the street. There's the woman from Archwell that was trying to make the kids smile. There's nobody on the street. There's no crowds. There's like Nobody there. They have some women off to the side doing some sort of a dance. Harry isn't paying them any attention whatsoever. What they do have there is a lot of military in some attempt to keep Harry safe from whatever that, because as you can see behind him, there's nobody there. Nobody cared. There's nobody there. So he goes, he sits down. Now the military officials literally were pushing the cameraman around, pushing him back, shoving him over, because they were too close, I guess. I don't know. But they sit Harry down in this chair. And I mean, I got to be honest, nobody just looked that excited to have him. Look at these faces. They're like, okay, we're here. Let's get the pictures. Let's move this along. No, I'm going to skip ahead. It goes on for 3 minutes with them just sitting there talking. But I want to show you their security is just kind of sitting there looking bored. And I want to show you also what was going on around them. The camera is about to swing around. These people are sitting there and this is what they're staring at. A parking lot that's got nothing in it, no people on the street, and a bunch of people just dancing. Now, I have to tell you the next thing that happened. Somewhere in the building behind them, they handed Harry a picture of him and his mother. And he told Harry there was something about the frame, and he asked Harry to smell it. There was something about the wood. You can imagine the memes that went on online from this. And here you go, Harry. It's a gift for you. Harry looked very appreciative, and he turned around and he handed the gift off. Now, while he was handing the gift off to somebody else, the guy reached over for the next gift, and he goes, here, this is for you, the prince and princess. Now, none of this has anything to do with Invictus. This is a fake royal tour. They weren't even talking about Invictus. This was all about Harry and Harry's mother and Harry's wife, etc., etc., etc. Now, while that gift was being handed off, here you go. Here's another gift that has something to do with our culture. Then they basically tell him, now, in order for you to be one of us, we need you to put this on. So they start dressing him in this outfit. So, listen, Harry was good-natured. He took off his jacket and he starts putting on this blue vest. Then they put this big tent-like thing over his head. Then they hand him, as the final coup de grace, a hat, and they put the hat on him. And then they take pictures. I'm telling you guys that this is just the gift that keeps on giving. You guys know exactly what I am talking about. And once again, I'm going to say it again. This had nothing to do with Invictus. This had nothing to do with the games. This entire trip was about, and this entire thing was about Harry. And Harry, make sure you know that Diane is his, mother, and Meghan. That's it. Nothing else. So that pretty much was the end of day one. I just wanted to show one more thing. Here is an unretouched, unphotoshopped photo of Meghan, but what caught me was her ring. Tell me that she didn't get an upgrade, because that center stone looks a lot bigger than it did before, in my opinion. Now, I have one more thing I need to tell you. Somebody who is a person in Nigeria put a comment up on Twitter, and I'm not putting it here because I don't want her to get attacked. She said, I can tell you the school authorities weren't happy because the norm is when celebrities visit schools, they come bearing gifts for teachers and students. She said these dimwits came prancing about like featherless ostriches, inappropriately dressed and empty. Yeah, that's probably why the kids were looking at her like they were looking at them, because they brought nothing. Multimillionaires who went to one of the poorest countries, went to their school and didn't bring anything to them. Why does that not surprise me? All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out. This was video number 1 of day 1. I know it was long. I apologize. Follow me over to video number 2, which will cover day 2. Let's go.